For almost a decade now, high net worth investors around the world looking to gain access to live in Europe without the requirement to do so and looking to get a Tier A European citizenship have turned to Europe's golden visa programs as a way to invest money, get the ability to live there without the requirement to do so, without the requirement necessarily to pay taxes, and to have the option to get future citizenship. However, the vast majority of these investments have been made into real estate, and there's a big problem that most people don't know about golden visa real estate that I'm going to share with you right now. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson here at Nomad Capitalist. We help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where they're treated best. That includes finding new places to live, finding residence permits, tax-efficient structures for your global business, and getting second citizenship to make sure that you have multiple options. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. And it's for all those reasons that a lot of 7- and 8-figure individuals have looked to Europe for golden visa programs. In particular, programs like Portugal, programs like Greece, those have been two of the most popular. And what's interesting about these is you have the right to live in Europe, but not the requirement. So you can live there full time. If you do that, there may be some tax planning involved, although some of these countries have rolled out some pretty interesting tax programs to minimize your taxes while living there below the typical high European rates. And for the most part, people have been investing in real estate. I'll tell you why in a moment. What we've seen in one country recently is one of the little-known golden visa programs. We talked about this in a separate video on YouTube, is in Latvia. And Latvia had an interesting spike back in the early 2010s, like around 2012, 2013. There were almost no fees involved. Then they introduced a new fee, demand went down, and suddenly you saw some Asian investors, Southeast Asian investors, coming in the last year or two and starting businesses, the business investment program, not buying real estate, not doing Latvia's bank capital program, but actually the cheapest option, which is investing in a business. Now, most people prefer a Portugal, prefer a Spain, prefer a Greece because it seems like a nicer place to live, particularly for the people that we work with who are largely from the West. Latvia, I've been to Latvia multiple times. I like it. It's interesting. Almost feels like kind of part of my roots. I had great-grandparents who were married there, so I like that part of the world. But for a lot of folks, Spain seems a lot sexier. And what also seems sexier is the idea of not having to start a company and file tax returns and hire someone and paid up capital, just buying real estate. Well, that is a great idea, but here's the challenge. Let's take Portugal's golden visa program, for example. When you buy real estate, you've got three options. The cheapest option being some actual apartments or homes that you can buy, but largely being kind of shares in hotels, stuff like that. The middle option being properties that have been redone, renovated by someone else, and they're being sold to you at a premium. They're nice, but they're certainly not cheap. And then the highest price option giving you more flexibility. Now, historically, these programs in real estate, the lawyers and the agents have pushed their clients into real estate, sometimes getting over 90% of the applicants to be not in government bonds, not in bank capital, not in fund investments, but in real estate, for the same reason as we would say where I come from in the US, why does Willie Sutton rob banks? Well, because that's where the money is. In Portugal, for example, there are other options. You could put €1 million into just a financial, capital investment, and you're not going to make much, but it's going to be sitting there. You don't have the hassle or the transfer title or the title costs or the thinking or that any of that involved with real estate. And so for a lot of people who just want to make an investment to get their second passport, they don't really want to live in their property. And so they say, okay, well, let me just buy the property and let it sit there. I'll rent it out. That's a hassle. But going back to the Willie Sutton example, a lot of these people, a lot of these programs, they pay very high commissions. We get approached all the time by people, particularly in the higher value programs like Cyprus. Some of those commissions go up to 20 or 22%. Up until a couple of years ago in Portugal, commissions ran rampant. There were stories, particularly in the Chinese immigration market, of people paying 500,000 euros back before some of the lower priced options were introduced, and they would get 300,000 euros in property. The same thing happened with Turkey's citizenship by investment program back when it was priced at $1 million before the dramatic price cut of a couple of years ago, there were people that I've heard through our local agent network who would come with their $1 million properties and they'd say, yeah, I can sell this for 3.25. And so people were dramatically overpaying because the goal was just to get the passport. In fact, people have come to me and said that. They said, listen, if I have to invest 500,000 euros in Portugal and lose 100,000 euros, I'm willing to do that for the passport. And so that's the big problem. What you've seen some of these countries doing, not only some of the citizenship by investment programs like Turkey and even in St. Lucia, they've got a bond option, for example. There are new ways for both residents and citizenship by investment programs to invest in lower maintenance assets. In Turkey, you can even put money in the bank. Put $500,000 in the bank. And some of the European programs you can do similar to that. Again, government debt, fixed capital investments. There are also fund investments now, and you've got to pick the right one. And there are some fees, but they're lower than real estate, and someone just manages your money. But there's really not any kind of commission in any of those options. Putting money in the bank's not going to pay you a commission. And so there's not really much in the way of profit to be had by people. And so that's largely how this RCBI, the Residence and Citizenship by Investment industry that functions on golden visas, is how they make money. They go out and they offer free consultations and they give you their 5 particular options that they know how to serve. And then whatever you buy, they're going to make sure that they make their commission, whether it's a kickback on a donation, whether it's a commission on real estate, whatever the case may be. I've always functioned a little bit differently, which is, charge someone a fee up front, open up all the options, have the most, deep library of, all the different residence and citizenship programs from 4 or 5 different types of citizenship options available, whether it's naturalization, whether it's fast-track naturalization, whether it's by descent, whether it's by investment, paper residence, whatever the case may be. And so this really is the issue. What you'll also see in programs where there's not a streamlined, so that's streamlined programs, the Portugals, the Greeces, the Spains, everyone knows those. And we've got videos on that on YouTube. You can watch individual videos on golden visas. Then you've got the programs where, hey, just come and make an investment in the country. Thailand, for example, they have an indefinite basically a permanent residence program, not technically PR, but you can renew it every year indefinitely for making an investment of 10 million baht. And so no one's really selling that. It's not highly commoditized, but if you go online to Thai property websites, or even before Turkey had a CBI program, Turkish property websites, Latin America, you go to Colombia, for example, and these countries have various programs for residents, for example, and you're going to find properties we found anywhere from 20 to 40% more expensive on the gringo websites. And so what I've done personally as an investor who does this stuff myself is I've gone into some of these countries. In Turkey, for example, they hired someone who speaks Turkish and who understands Turkish culture and who knows that they don't do business the way that people where I come from do business. And that's fine. But if you don't know that, you're going to get taken advantage of and you're going to overpay. I've seen it time and time again when people come to visit me in countries like Georgia. It's probably been the most common one. They say, oh, I'm buying this place for this price. I say, you're overpaying by 30% because you got sucked into finding something on a website that was in English, that looks shiny, that was sold by a developer who has a nice showroom, and you're overpaying. And so, listen, I understand the value of being an entrepreneur and wanting to keep moving. I also know that if you can create a network of local agents and you can look at property listings on the local market, potentially in the local currency in some places, and you can do a deal, you can go to the Portugal Golden Visa program, you can buy your high quality €500,000 property, or you can even buy a high quality 350 or 250 euro property in other programs. You can save yourself a lot of money. Or you'll decide, let's just not do real estate entirely. Let's look at Portugal. They've got a fund option. I'm going to put 350,000 euros in funds, and I'm going to have someone tell me, here are the best funds for your objectives. This one's conservative. This one's more risky. Higher returns. So a couple things. Number one, if you're doing a golden visa, don't think you have to buy real estate because in many of these European countries there are transfer costs, title fees, stamp duties, that kind of thing that raise your cost. On €500,000 in some of these countries, it could be 30 to 40,000 euros gone. Okay, If you're looking in other markets, you want to make sure you're looking on the local, property market. And I would also consider any time when you can, potentially not opening a business, because in a lot of these countries that does involve hiring. It may not be what you're trying to do. Certainly some entrepreneurs should look at hiring in markets like Portugal, Bulgaria, Turkey, etc. But look at fund options. Can I invest money in a fund? Can I put money in a bank account where there's just no muss, no fuss, really no fees? You always want to look at the full suite of options. And I think that far too many people in golden visas overpay for real estate. Anytime I go into a new market to evaluate the different properties, it is chaos because it's easy to buy a property and overpay. But to really study, what are the real prices? What are the real areas? We looked at, again, Turkey's Citizenship by Investment program. Some of the cheapest properties in the city are around Taksim Square, at least in the city center. You can get amazing deals there right now. Now, do you want to pay the $250,000 to buy one property in that area? It's not going to be very liquid, probably. You're going to have a hard time selling that property, especially the ones that are really low price per meter. People just they're not looking for properties in that price range. $60,000, $80,000, yes. $250,000, not so much. So, okay, what's the best value neighborhood from there now? Okay, maybe it's Belmonte, maybe it's somewhere else in that area. And okay, what are properties in Belmonte going for? We've seen some really good deals there, but yet when you go out and talk to the lawyers who process applications, it's $4,000 a meter instead of $2,000 a meter, because they're selling you that high-priced real estate. And so the last thing I would say is understand what your objectives are going in. Sometimes people say, you know what, I want to be a citizen of XYZ country, Turkey, Colombia, Portugal, whatever, a resident, and I want the property to live in. Well, okay, maybe you're willing to overpay. You still don't want to overpay just because you got someone a 20% commission, but maybe you're willing to pay more than someone who's purely an investor. If you're just an investor, what's going to not only be the best value property, but the most liquid property you can resell 3 years, 5 years, 7 years into the future? Those are some of the challenges that I see with golden visa real estate. And I think if more people realized there were other options, they would potentially look at those as alternatives that are lower cost, less hassle, and less prone to being overpriced. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.